Dun, 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 dun. Am I live? Okay, should be live now. Let me just double check. Yeah, there we go. I am live. Good, great, fantastic. I always have to make sure I'm live. I don't want to be rambling on this entire thing and only to discover I'm not even freaking live. Give me a second. Let me make sure I have everything ready. Okay, got a couple people inside right now watching, which is cool. Just hold on. Give me another moment. Okay, that's great. Okay, awesome. So, gonna be chatting about the recent special announcement by UFC President Dana White. Let me just take a sip of water. So, Dana has been doing these sort of special announcements recently where he pretty much goes in his little, I don't know where he is. He's like in the little room or something over here. You could see in his little Rumble sports shirt. He's like in somewhere in the UFC HQ, I imagine. He always does these special announcements now. I think he started doing it sometime this year, maybe it was towards the end of last year. I can't remember. But regardless, so they recently announced what is the main card, the main event, and the full 5 fights for UFC 290. So they announced it. Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez to unify the featherweight championship. Now, the other thing I do want to say is that this was already rumored for some time that this was going to happen. And oh, whoops. Okay, sorry about that. Anyways, so it was already rumored for a while that Yair would be fighting Alexander Volkanovski, and they just couldn't get the deal yet. Initially, we just had Moreno and Pantoja as the fill-in for somewhere in the co-main event slot, probably. And at some point, they were also initially thinking about putting John Jones and Stipe for this card. As we all know, that got probably moved to November for John's retirement fight, which I hope is not his retirement fight, but that's for a different day. Volkanovski versus Rodriguez. I already said as soon as I had watched. So just to give a brief overview of the fight, as soon as this fight got announced, and as soon as the fight card in Australia was done, where Yair beat Josh Emmett, and then Volkanovski and Islam fought, as soon as Rodriguez beat Emmett, right away, before looking at too much tape, I immediately thought to myself, putting recency bias aside, I do think that Yair Rodriguez will probably be an even tougher fight in terms of damage Alex is going to accumulate than the Islam Makhachev fight. For sure, absolutely. And I don't even think there's any question about that. I think that Alex Volkanovski is going to sustain way more damage fighting Yair Rodriguez. That performance that Yair had against Josh Emmett was fantastic in terms of the striking, the grappling, in the clinch, pressure forward, pressure back, whatever. Every single area, Yair looked amazing. And I always said again, I also don't think it's an accident that Yair or Max had this much trouble against Yair. I remember when that fight happened, I was like, oh man, what if this is it? What if this is the fight where Max Holloway has looked old? I thought that until I saw Yair fight Josh Emmett. Then after that, I was like, no, Yair is just that good. Yair is right now to the point where I think he's put everything together, and he is a vicious damage machine right now. And I do think that Alex is going to be cut, bleeding, might even get rocked once or twice in this fight, might get put in a submission attempt once in this fight. At the very least, cut, damaged, and probably rocked at least once. Now, I'm still picking Alex to win initially without looking at the tape, but I really do want to think about this fight because I just think that, especially with the grappling advantage that Alex has, I think he should be able to nullify any sort of submission threat that Yair poses. So and kind of followed the Max Holloway blueprint on how to beat Yair Rodriguez. But if you look at Max, if you look at Josh, if you look at anybody Yair is fighting now, you're going to take a lot of damage. Whether he wins or loses, you're going to take a lot of damage now. And I imagine that on the feet, Alex does have, his very solid, unique striking style with the feints, and he has good striking, pretty decent power. I think that Yair is going to be... I have a feeling, for as good as we have Volkanovski on the feet, I have a feeling that Yair's stand-up right now is just at a level where I don't think anybody in the featherweight division can probably contend with right now. Again, Alex's stand-up is very, very good, but in terms of the range, Yair's height, there's really nothing... There's not much Alex is going to be able to do on the feet to avoid these shots. That's the problem, right? It's not like Alex is just going to be able to dodge every single shot. I don't think that Alex is just going to rock Yair right away immediately. I don't think that either. So I imagine that when they're fighting, Alex is not going to avoid every single shot, and he's not going to avoid every single kick. And when Yair starts mixing it up, he's going to start getting pieced apart pretty badly. So that's the problem that I'm kind of seeing for Alex right now in that event. So I'm sure that Alex and his team, Eugene Behrman, all these guys are going to be like, okay, look, we cannot stand with the guy. We cannot stand for too long with the guy. Sorry, let me correct myself. We can't stand too long with this guy. We need to have a game plan where we use our feints and stuff strikes, be defensively sound like Alex is. But whenever Yair gets in close, we need to initiate the clinch. We need to initiate some grappling and then take him down. That's really what I see the game plan as. Because otherwise, it's going to be a bad night. It's going to be a really rough night for Alex if he just keeps us standing the whole time. And it's crazy to think this, because Alexander Volkanovski's stand-up is so good that I'm pretty much saying that if Alex stays standing with Yair, he could lose this fight. And for a while, especially after that third Max Holloway fight, I was thinking, man, I'm just thinking on the feet even, like, who's really going to beat Volkanovski just on the feet? But what Yair showed me against Josh Emmett, I know Josh is not at the same level as Alexander Volkanovski, but what I saw in that fight, what I saw in the Max Holloway fight, his razor sharp, damaging stand-up right now I think it's going to be too much for Volk. So I imagine that Volk is probably going to have a grappling heavy style for this. So the card in general, as you can see, so you have Volk versus Rodriguez, which I'll talk a little bit more about briefly, but let me just go to the rest of the card. You have Moreno versus Pantoja as the co-main event. For the that is kind of weird that they put World Bantamweight Championship right here. If you guys look at this, they put World Bantamweight Championship. I don't know who did that, but anyways, we know it's for the flyweight title. Whittaker versus Duplessis, which we already knew about. Fantastic fight. I'm pretty confident Whittaker's going to run right through Duplessis. Jalen Turner versus Dan Hooker, which was supposed to happen on the John Jones Cyril Gane card, which when I saw the fight, I was like, yo, Jalen Turner is going to really hurt Dan Hooker. Actually, you know what? I might want to actually talk about this fight too, the Jalen Turner Dan Hooker fight. By the way, if anybody has any questions or any comments or anything, just leave them. I'll answer any of them right now. Any questions, comments, we're talking about UFC 290, or if you have comments, questions about anything MMA related, we could talk about that too. Jalen Turner, let me just say this right now. I believe that Jalen Turner right now has the ability on the feet to contend with Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Rafael Fiziev, any of those guys. Yeah, I think it's that good. Not only that, if I remember correctly, I actually scored the Mateus Gamrot Turner fight for Jalen Turner. I actually thought that Turner won that fight. And I know a lot of people are going to talk about the grappling, but you have to understand the unified scoring criteria, how it's scored. I actually scored that for Turner. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get it, but I scored for him. And I've seen this tape. I'm very, very confident if he fights Poirier right now, Chandler, Connor, Gaethje, Fiziev, Charles Oliveira, any of the elite strikers at lightweight, he could contend with them and beat some of them if it just stays standing. I think his stand-up is that good. I'm pretty high on Jalen Turner right now, actually. I'll be honest. Now, when he fights Dan Hooker, I imagine Hooker's going to keep it on the feet. And if Jalen Turner's stand-up is to the level that I think it is, he should run right through Dan Hooker, which is unfortunate because Dan had that nice win recently. But this should be Turner's fight to win. I'm predicting this should be first round stoppage, maximum 2 rounds. Maximum. Like, can't see it going anything more than that. And then they also put Bo Nickel versus, I don't know who this guy is. I'll be honest, I don't know who the guy he's facing is, but they're putting Bo Nickel on again. This is not the guy he fought last time. No, this is somebody else he fought last time. For some reason, I'm getting him confused. For some reason, I thought that, but I know he's not fighting him. Who else do we have? So then we had that, and then there was other fights on the card as well. So there's Jalen Hooker. Now, this is how you know a card is just crazy, crazy stacked. Then you have Sean Brady, Jack Della Maddalena. I always have a hard time pronouncing his last name, especially with the middle and last name. Jeez, this guy's a crazy name. Brady versus Maddalena. Really, really interesting fight. Why? It's 2 quote-unquote prospects coming up. Brady did have that setback against Bilal Muhammad, but he's still theoretically, he still is a quote-unquote prospect in the welterweight division. So now he's fighting another potential prospect in Maddalena. So this is a fantastic fight. This is great matchmaking. Brady number 9, Maddalena number 13. Maddalena is either going to crack into the top 10 now, or Brady's going to show why he deserves to be in the top 10, and still somebody that we should probably take seriously. That performance against Bilal Muhammad, the way I saw that performance was Brady didn't quit. I don't like to use the word quit. I want to say Brady probably wasn't expecting Bilal to be that good on the feet. And he probably wasn't expecting Bilal to put on that much pressure on the feet. So eventually, this is the first time that Brady's been pressured on the feet by like that, especially against a top guy like Bilal is. And I think he just wilted. So I don't like to say the word quit. I think he just took damage. I think he just wasn't expecting a couple things. And yeah, I think he got beat. Now, the clear gaps in Sean Brady's style is he needs to get better on the feet. He has to just get better on the feet. So if you're getting TKO by Bilal Muhammad, no disrespect to Bilal, you got quite a bit of work to do on the feet. Look at this. Davison Figueiredo, Manel Kape. Again, this card is so stacked that Figueiredo right now and Manel Kape are not even on the main card. Not even on the main card. And then the headliner for the prelims, is Robbie Lawler and Nico Price, which we know. First of all, this is going to be apparently Robbie's retirement fight. But this is going to be a all-action fight for Robbie's final fight. And he's going to be the main event of the prelims. But let me just say this again. Does it make sense to put Figueiredo, the former flyweight champion, not on the main card? Well, I guess that kind of depends on... how you see it. Even though he was the former flyweight champion, you could argue that Bo Nickel still has a bigger name amongst casual fans. What was it called? Where was this one? Yeah, so Figueiredo on the prelims. So I was going to say that you could probably argue that Bo Nickel has a bigger name, especially amongst the casual fans. And even though Figueiredo is the former flyweight champion, he still has such a small name that he can't get on the main card when you have these type of fights. And even Jalen Turner, Dan Hooker, both of these guys are never been in title contention really, but both of them have bigger names, and you could say Figueiredo and Manel Kape. Bo Nickel, bigger name than Davison Figueiredo. Whitaker, definitely a bigger name. And the fight against Dricus Du Plessis is there, and then we have the 2 title fights. So that is a bit sad that when you're a flyweight champion and you've had title defenses and then that crazy amount of fights with Brandon Moreno that you can't even get on the main card. I mean, that first of all shows how stacked this card is, number one. But number two, it also shows that, unfortunately, Figueiredo just does not have a big name. He doesn't have a big name. He doesn't have you know, he's just not really main card worthy now that he doesn't have his title. Where was this? Okay, yeah, so Whittaker and Duplessis. Let me just get back to this screen here. So the Whittaker Duplessis fight, that was already booked from before. Like, this was already booked from, I think, a month ago now. This has already been confirmed with. And apparently, the winner of this fight is going to fight Izzy. It is a bit weird because I thought that Izzy would have probably been on this card or the August card or something, because he did want a quick turnaround. So it is a bit weird that they're going to do this fight and then maybe have Izzy fight the winner later this year. I was a bit confused about that, but regardless, Whittaker, Duplessis. Duplessis' last 2 fights, Brunson, and then Darren Till. Here's the problem. The Darren Till fight was really good, but Darren Till just looked like garbage. I don't know what the hell he's been doing with Hamza. He just looked like garbage. He just didn't look good in that fight. And he's been removed from the promotion since. And then the Derek Brunson fight. Derek Brunson was doing pretty good in that fight until it just all unraveled. So, I don't know. I mean, Duplessis, he beat Darren Till. He did. And then he beat Derek Brunson. I mean, he finished Derek Brunson. He did. But I'm still not convinced with the guy. I'm just not. Like, I know he won those 2 fights, and he's like on a 4-fight win streak right now in the UFC. I'm just not convinced. Especially right now facing Whittaker. I'm thinking stand-up, Whittaker is better. Grappling, Whittaker is better. Submissions, defense, offense, I feel like Whittaker is probably better. Scrambling, I see more from Whittaker. Takedown defense, Whittaker. Boxing, kickboxing, whatever, Whittaker is probably better. So I know they're probably hoping, hey, if we can get Duplessis to win, we can set up this cool African versus African type of fight with Izzy and with all the controversy and all the stuff, and then they can go back and forth behind it. And obviously, if Whittaker wins, then you could just do the trilogy in Australia, which will be a big, big fight. So I guess it's a win-win scenario for the UFC, but I don't know. I'm just not convinced by Trukis. I'm just not. He was definitely losing that Derek Brunson fight. Had Derek Brunson been even a year or 2, let's just say younger, fresher, on that win streak Derek Brunson was on, I think Duplessis would have lost that. In a 3-round fight, I think Duplessis would have lost that. 5-round fight, I don't think Derek Brunson would have been reliable enough. But 3-round fight, knock off 1 or 2 years off Derek Brunson's age. I'm convinced that I don't know if Duplessis would have won that fight. Again, guys, any questions, any comments, anything, just leave them. I'll answer any of them. Let me say this about the main event as well. The co-main, I don't want to really talk too much about it now. Maybe I'll do a breakdown later. The Bo Nickel fight, just to say it again briefly, until Bo Nickel starts fighting somebody in the top 15 or closer to that, or top 10 or something, don't really care about these type of fights. These are just fights to put Bo Nickel on a main card, have him beat these people impressively, build his star power, get him experience. Until he fights somebody better, I don't really care about these type of fights. Frankly, I would probably prefer to have Sean Brady, Jack, and Madalena over this fight on the pay-per-view. But again, I guess for a casual audience, this is probably what they could have done to get more. I don't know. Also for the main event, let me just say this. I'm actually not convinced that Volkanovski can actually finish Rodriguez. And Rodriguez finishing Volkanovski, I'm still not fully convinced about this yet. But I do want to say this. If Volkanovski does win, at that point, I think it's... because I think at that point, he should probably see if Topuria beats Emmett. If Topuria beats Emmett, then you just put Topuria against Volkanovski. But I'm still... because Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush are going to be fighting, and obviously the winner of that, I'm assuming he's going to get the Islam Makhachev, especially if it's Beneil. At least I would hope so. But depending on the timeline, I don't think Alex would want to sit out. I really hope that they can put together Volkanovski versus whoever the lightweight champion is, maybe by Q1 of 2024. Right, like maybe January-ish, because Volkanovski can probably fight, if Topuria wins, he could probably fight him, let's say in October or something like that, October, November, something like that. Maybe at MSG, maybe in Abu Dhabi, and then I wouldn't mind seeing him then turn around and fight again at lightweight in January or February. Normally, I wouldn't be into it this soon. Like, for example, when Izzy lost to Jan Blachowicz, I wasn't really interested in seeing him go up again after that. But just the way that Volkanovski fought, obviously fought Islam Makhachev, I thought he did great, and I predicted he would do great. I'm actually okay with him going up ASAP. Like, put him in January, February, somewhere Q1 2024. Like, I'm definitely okay with that. Was there any other fights on here? Again, with the Jalen Turner, like I said, Jalen Turner is probably going to run through Dan Hooker. Jalen Turner, I'm fairly confident that he could hang with anybody in terms of striking at any sort of lightweight right now. I think he's good enough. And again, I do think he won that Gamrot fight, so he should be fighting someone above this. But I mean, what can you do? He lost the fight. The judges said that, but I didn't think he lost that fight. Give me a second. Was there any other news I just wanted to quickly cover? Yeah, Robbie Lawler retirement fight. We know about that. Yes, we know about that. Merab is going to fight there. John Jones return. John Jones did have the highest grossing commercial pay-per-view over the past 12 months, which is not really surprising. I mean, that's not really surprising. Aspinall versus Marcin Tybura got confirmed as well for London, July 22nd. That should be interesting to see how Aspinall looks after his injury. And then what was the last thing? And then Conor McGregor and then Michael Chandler. I don't really understand, like, with this fight. Can I just say, for the Conor McGregor and this Michael Chandler here, like, they have this promo video. Do I have access to it here? Read this. Yeah, so McGregor shoves him, and they're using this to, like, hype him up and putting this package on and this and that. Yeah, wow, he shoved him. It's so weird that this fight just hasn't been announced yet. Like, I really don't understand, like, what the hell the UFC and all these people are waiting for. Just weird that this hasn't been announced yet. Like, they're putting these promos as if something cool is happening here. Like, oh yeah, Conor shoved him, and here's the snippet of Conor McGregor shoving Michael Chandler during a heated back and forth. Who the hell is this supposed to? This Chisanga Malata. I don't even know who that is. Conor knows how to do ratings and set pay-per-views. Goal is crossover. Looks like Conor gave a push to the face. The next clip, he looks hungover in a rough of coke binge, roid rage, this and that. I don't know. This whole thing is just weird. I don't even know. This whole Ultimate Fighter thing was just such a waste of time. I still don't know who watches this damn show. I mean, absolute waste of time. Just give me a second, guys. I'm just going to check one thing. Okay. Just had to check something. What was this? Anyways, that's pretty much a stream. I just wanted to cover the fight card and a couple other things. Pretty much the stream for today. So, hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Like the stream if you like it. Subscribe for more content similar to this. I do want to be doing more live streams in the future, stuff like that. So I do want to be doing more of that in the future. So probably do some more maybe this week, next week. I'm not exactly sure. I especially want to start doing it on the weekend, so we'll see what happens. But hope you guys enjoyed. Enjoy your rest of the week, and I will catch everybody later. Peace.